Good afternoon. My name is Peter Fantozzi, and I'm a Wish alum. Seeing Noelia's video takes me back to my own experience, my own Wish trip. The memories are as vivid today as they were nearly a decade ago. You see, while kids like Noelia are experiencing the life-changing impact of a wish every day, I'm here to tell you that the impact of a wish lasts far longer than the wish itself. I know, I've been there, and I can't stress it enough. From a patient's perspective, a wish is one of the few things that can be an effective distraction from the anguish of the present. For many like me, it's a lifeline to the hope and possibility that lies just beyond the duration of treatment. Because positive experiences and memories, they facilitate hope. Hope gives strength, and strength enables us to overcome life's obstacles. This hope continues to be a thread throughout the lives of Wish kids just like me. A Wish provides the encouragement to keep going, no matter what the future holds. As an 11-year-old, my world was turned upside down by 3 words. You have cancer. I quickly learned that those words carried the weight of a very specific responsibility. For the next 9 months, my job was to literally fight for my life. The treatment for Ewing sarcoma, the type of cancer I was diagnosed with, requires an incredibly aggressive approach. It took numerous surgeries, 14 rounds of chemotherapy, and 30 radiation treatments. But after what felt like a lifetime, I was finally done, my scans were clear, and I was told to go out and do my best to be a kid again. But how? After having my innocence stolen by this disease, could I realistically return to the life I had prior to cancer? At one point during treatment, I contracted a severe infection that landed me in the ICU. I still remember the doctor who knelt by my bedside and asked me directly about my fear of death. Shortly after I finished treatment, I lost my best friend and role model, another Wish recipient by the name of Joshua Dickerson, to a sarcoma cancer very similar to my own. I was just a kid when all this happened, but after all that and so much more, I felt that any hope for returning to a normal childhood had been stripped away from me. I remember days in the hospital where my mindset was dark and my belief in a happy future was almost non-existent. Little did I know, however, that while I was fighting, Make-A-Wish was making plans to do the impossible. A restoration project of sorts that started with a knock at the door and the arrival of my Make-A-Wish volunteers. For the first time in a long time, my conversations were positive and hopeful, focused on dreams about the future instead of the daily realities of cancer. From the moment I found out I would get a wish, my plan was to ask for something that would maximize my happiness. As an adult looking back on this wish-making process, I now realize that what I was really looking for was something that would serve as a spark to reinvigorate my childhood. In the end, I asked for a trip to Hawaii to swim with the dolphins. To me, the beaches of Hawaii would serve as compensation for the months of summer that I missed out on while enduring treatment. Visitors would come and greet me at the hospital with sun-kissed skin that reminded me of the pool days I was missing. Something about the dichotomy between the carefree nature of summertime and the current predicament I was in stood out as a glaring injustice in my eyes. Flash forward to a few days before Christmas of 2009, and a few weeks after my final round of chemotherapy, and there I was in Oahu, ready to jump into a pool for the first time in over a year. I stood tentatively at the pool's edge, and suddenly, overwhelmed by the anticipation, I jumped in and baptized myself in those life-giving waters. If my parents were the ones sharing this story, the first thing they would tell you about would be the smile on my face after my head appeared above the water. They'd tell me they'll never forget the look I had, an ear-to-ear smile that illustrated the pure joy I was feeling. For me, it was the joy of being a kid again. Although the week-long trip flew by in the blink of an eye, And though nearly a decade has passed, the memories are as vivid as ever. At the time, I never expected how much I'd need to draw from the strength of those memories again nearly a decade later. 2 years ago, I had a surgery to repair structural damage in my pelvis, a necessary surgery that was yet another reminder of cancer's long-term impact. Once again, I found myself in the hospital. This time, instead of chemotherapy and radiation, I stared down a 15-hour surgery that was followed by an emergency 5-hour surgery the very next day. Once out of the hospital, I spent 3 months in a half-body cast. I missed a semester of college, and at one point, I hadn't seen the first floor of my house in over a month. At 20 years old, 9 years after I completed cancer treatment, I found myself once again ruminating on many of the same doubts I had when I was a newly diagnosed 11-year-old. This time around, however, I had the advantage of knowing that joy is attainable despite adversity. My wish had shown me this and more. My wish was still with me, pushing me along and giving me hope, giving me the hope I needed to form a positive outlook and keep me on the road to health and recovery. Today, I stand before you as a college student with the dream of using my experience with cancer to help others. Because at age 11, I had one job, and that was to fight for my life. Now, as a cancer survivor, my primary responsibility is to make the most of the life I've been gifted. I'm eager to use the knowledge I have about cancer and the ideas I've developed over the years to study how cancer can promote resilience and successes later in life. This past summer, I worked in Boston at Judge Baker Children's Center, a Harvard Medical School affiliate. It was a transformative experience that allowed me to actualize my talents and realize the impact I could have on others. The work I did informed my decision to apply to clinical psychology PhD programs with the intent of specializing in pediatric oncology. In each of my personal statements, I have articulated my desire to study resilience and the long-term outcomes in the pediatric oncology population, a desire that would not have been possible had Make-A-Wish not given me hope for my future and informed my knowledge about resilience. I believe a person needs to have hope, small moments of happiness, and a belief that darkness is necessary in order to fully appreciate the beauty in the light. That's what Make-A-Wish provides. Because positive experiences and memories, they facilitate hope. Hope gives strength, and strength enables us to overcome life's obstacles. Supporting Make-A-Wish is so important, not just because it reestablishes joy in the lives of kids with critical illnesses, but because it gives hope during the medical treatment, and more importantly, serves as a cornerstone memory. A steadfast reminder that no matter the severity of the adversity one faces in life, happiness, pleasure, joy, and contentment are all possible, no matter the circumstances. I'm here as a college student who one day hopes to be seated in this very audience, listening to another survivor and Make-A-Wish recipient give their testimony about how their wish had a lasting impact on their own life. Today, you are my stand-in to give that incredible gift of strength, hope, and resilience to kids who are waiting anxiously in waiting rooms, awaiting the results of their latest scans. Kids who are currently staying overnight at the hospital, simply fantasizing about spending a night in their own bed for once. Today, you too can be a catalyst for a child to believe in their dreams. Now is your chance to make these dreams possible. On your table, you'll find a donation form. With this form, you can make a donation that will give kids just like me, just like Noelia, the chance to be a child again. Please fill it out generously and give it to your table captain. Because right now, there are enough children waiting for their wishes to be filled to fill more than 7 school buses. 7 school buses of kids waiting for their wish-granting volunteer to ring their doorbell and give them the chance to dream again. Please give generously today because your generosity will have a truly life-changing impact for a child who is currently fighting for their life. I know. I'm proof that a wish is far more than a getaway. It's an experience and a trip that truly transforms. Thank you.